Thank you guys for attending the We Give 110 podcast, or episode number 2 with Rafael Morales.
All right, guys, we're here with Rafael Morales with John Wright Roofing. He also owns his own company with Rafael Morales Roofers. Is that right?
Yeah, Morales Roofing.
Morales Roofing. And I'm excited about this interview. Rafael is one of the hardest working individuals I've known. And that says a lot, right? That says a lot of his character. Rafael actually helped me launch MVP Local, which is something that was my baby back about 4 or 5 years ago. It was something that I put my entire life savings into, and he treated that business as his own. So our relationship, our connection, it dates back all the way back to high school. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about what he does now with John Wright Roofing and where he's going to go in the future. So appreciate you guys joining us today, and let's go ahead and dive into the interview, the conversation. So
Appreciate you.
First things first, let's kind of give everybody, the audience, let's give them a vested interest as to why they even need to listen to this interview. Where we have common ground with our audience, and it all started for me back when I was teaching you in high school.
Oh yeah.
And so I was transitioning from Nimitz High School to Singley Academy, and it was an unknown, right? I was in IT, I was going back into the classroom, and there we were. I was walking into sixth period, and there's Rafael Morales, this wet behind the ears. Ronnie Phillip was in that class, Kevin Sorto, yeah. And a bunch of other individuals. But these guys really stood out to me, primarily because they just took a belief in me, and they gave me faith into the process that I was trying to instill into them. So the first question that I have for you is, when you were in that position, when you were in class, what really shifted your mindset? Like, was it one thing? Was it multiple things? What really shifted your mindset to go on a different path? Like, talk about what path you were on at that point. Talk about, did you even desire to go to college? Like, was that in the forecast, in your plans? Talk a little bit about that.
What really shifted my mindset, I think it was just coming from a different angle. I think somebody really putting you or pushing you to challenge yourself in a way where a lot of the other teachers didn't really challenge you. Great teachers. I mean, it's just that the way that you were challenging us was a little bit different. It was more in the sense of, like, if you don't know how to do it, go figure out how to do it. And I think what really, shifted that mindset was when you read to us about a business book, Rich Dad Poor Dad? Rich Dad Poor Dad, where you talked about having a business plan, where you talked about marketing, where you talked about registering a business itself. And I remember one of the projects that you gave us is actually making a business. And me and Kevin were talking. Kevin was in the pallet business, still is in the pallet business, and at that time I was in the roofing business. Coincidentally, I'm still in the roofing business. So we created, what did we do? Roofing and pallets. That's the only thing we knew, and that's the only thing we know, and that's one of the things that shifted our mindset, where, like, hey, we're being challenged in a certain way, and at the same time, we were also starting to sell T-shirts back in high school. So
just to give you guys, sorry to interrupt, to give you guys kind of a backdrop to the class, what I was teaching was this business management.
Yeah.
And that was a class that Rafael and Kevin were in, and
and you know what's crazy? We took it. We didn't want to take it at first, but we took it because that was the only what's it called? The only elective that was available. And you're like, hey, like, we were just some cocky kids. We're like, hey, we're gonna take it just for fun. And, like, we didn't really know what we were gonna get ourselves into, and it ended up being the best class we ever took. So it's pretty cool how fate works and how things have transitioned up to this point. But yeah, man, like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they came to me with this idea, this brilliant idea. Hey, we love and we're inspired by what you've been teaching in your class, and we want to make a stand here at the academy. I remember when Rafael said, hey, I'm going to become the president of our senior class.
Yes.
and that actually came true, right?
Yeah.
And so their brilliant idea, and it was brilliant, by the way, was to sell T-shirts to the senior class. And so that was a big part of what you guys did in the class. What was the total amount you guys ended up raising?
It was like $6,000 or $7,000 on
That's
just
crazy.
profit on selling T-shirts. And what was really cool about it is that, you know, we were old-fashioned. We took the orders by, you know, a pen and pencil, and like we were literally asking the students, hey, like, do you want to buy this shirt? And like we would show them a sample of the shirt, and they would like it. So we took a pre-order of the shirt. We were like, hey, like, so what size are you? Okay, medium. Like, it'll be available next month, because we needed like a certain amount to buy to be able to like get that bulk discount. And we ended up making like $7,000. Like, I mean, it was like a one-time hit. We tried doing another shirt, didn't work out, but I mean, we like took the wave and went with it.
And so that was just an awesome experience for me, because I think a lot of times as teachers, we get stuck in the knowledge mode, and we were talking about that just a minute ago about how you can get stuck reading books. You were talking about, you know, I read 50 books last year, and that was just one of my key components of what I try to teach. Look, if you're not applying and learning it, if you're not executing on that knowledge, then you're not gaining or moving forward with whatever you're trying to do, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you get stuck in the learning curve and don't really get past that curve, it's a very dangerous situation, because you're learning a lot, but you're not really applying it. So it's not really the same as applying and actually learning in the real world. It all goes back to really getting down and dirty, which a lot of people reference to that phrase of getting real down and dirty, and doing the actual work and getting, you know, putting your hands on the thing that you're actually trying to, what's the word I'm trying to get?
Trying to build, trying to
accomplish, trying to build, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it was a real interesting time, because we were so used to, you know, the teachers telling us, hey, go to college. Hey, you know, you're gonna get good grades. You gotta, you know, get good SAT scores and whatnot. And then so you give it like a different perspective. College wasn't really in my mind. I was the first college graduate in my family, like first one. Like my grandparents didn't go to college, my parents didn't go to college. None of my older cousins went to college, so it was a very difficult time. At that time, I was studying engineering, so I was in the first floor, and then your class was in the third floor actually. And that's when it shifted my perspective. I was like, hey, maybe I don't really like engineering. You know, maybe I want to go into the business. And yeah, like ever since that point, it really pivoted me to going towards, you know, business. And here I am doing more business.
So yeah, it's this, like, that's the vested interest. Like, that's where Rafael and I crossed paths by fate, like you were saying. It was meant to be, because, you know, I saw something in Rafael, and I saw something in Ronnie Phillip, and I felt like those are the type of guys I want to build a team around.
Oh yeah,
right?
without a doubt.
And so, you know, when I first started MVP Local, you were the first one that I thought about, and I was like, I gotta call him on the phone. You know, he understands the millennials. He understands what I'm trying to do. He understands technology. And so let's kind of shift. You graduated from UTA, first one in your family. You graduated from UTA with an international business degree. Yeah. And
one class is German, one class is Mandarin. Both dropped. Very difficult. Don't do it unless you're like, you know, do it if you can. Me, I was in a very tight schedule. I just didn't have the time.
And so Rafael was actually doing that while he was helping us launch MVP Local. And so that shows his character, the commitment, the belief in what we were trying to build at the time. And just talk a little bit about that experience, how it shaped you, how it opened your eyes up to different opportunities. Talk a little bit about your experience with MVP Local.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I was I wouldn't say shy kid, but it really pushed me to be more of an extrovert. You know, really going out to, you know, how we had that that fair that we had here in Irving, where we had to go talk to the business owner, like, hey, you know, we have this app available for you where you can actually, you know, create more awareness for your business. So it was very, very pushing me outside of my comfort zone. And I mean, I still use that till this day. You know, when I go door knocking, when I go canvassing, when I do cold calling, you know. It also instilled in me a very disciplined manner on how I carry myself and use my time. Back in the day, I would wake up at 3 a.m. and I would text Carrie, hey, so-and-so thing didn't get fixed on MVP Local. We got to go do this, and this. And then I would do my schoolwork, and then I would go to work, and then I'd go back to school, and then focus on MVP Local. So I was very strict with my time, but it instilled in me a very, grit, where like you don't give up till you get the job done, you know, where you don't stop till you get the actual task that you're trying to accomplish done.
Exactly.
So that really reinforced that, and I still use it till this day. You know, when I'm giving out estimates to customers, when I tell them, hey, I'll have this by so-and-so date, you know, sometimes I stay up till 12 or 1 a.m. and I get up at 5 or 6 a.m., you know. So it's one of those situations where that's what I use. And that's what it just instilled in me. So it's pretty cool.
And so I'm going to poke the bear a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And so during that time, you were going to college, you were working full-time, you were launching MVP Local. What did the parents think about you launching MVP Local, and how did your dad see some of the things that you envisioned in your life being different than what he grew up doing, right?
My dad is very old-fashioned. He's, go to work, get up at 4 or 5 a.m., go to work, go to bed, and that's it. You know, he really didn't really ask me. My mom was the one that was really pushing me, asking me questions like, hey, like, what's MVP Local? So I had to explain to her in Spanish, you know, and it's very difficult to translate something that you're barely making into something and then try to explain it to her. And she's like, oh, okay. And like, she'll ask me, and like, she would really understand it, but she knew that I was getting involved in my community. So back in the day, I wasn't really involved. Like, I wasn't involved in my community. I wasn't really involved in nonprofits. I did get involved for like after school programs or to raise points because you need something to graduate and so and so. But I don't want to say it was selfish, but it was in a very unselfish way that I grew that part of me, because I started serving my community more unselfishly. Like, I didn't want things in return. I just wanted to help you out. And, you know, my mom started seeing that. She's like, oh, you're coming home late. And it's like, oh, it's because I was helping so-and-so with stuff. You know, I was helping raise money for this nonprofit, or I was talking to this nonprofit about a better way to fundraise money, or I was talking to this business about a better way to market themselves, how to reach out to more customers outside of their radius and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, she was just happy as long as I wasn't, not finishing school or dropping out or, failing my classes. But it was tough, man. Sometimes, like, I only had, 1 or 2 days to study for a test, and I would really cram in. But it wasn't me cramming because I was out partying. It's because I was working. I was trying to build something with you.
Right.
So she like appreciated that. She really appreciates you as a person, you and your family, because like you guys really helped me out. Because then
sorry to interrupt.
No, yeah, go ahead.
But one of the greatest things that I remember doing is going actually supporting the families, like 6 families at the warehouse party.
Yeah.
And we show up, and the whole deal is to raise money for a church that they were building in Mexico.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I brought was it was actually an angel.
Yeah.
It was a tie from my granddad, and I was like, "This is special.
Oh yeah,
this is special to me."
Oh, yeah.
And what you guys are doing is special for what you're trying to build in Mexico, and I want to be a part of that.
Oh yeah.
And so that was so much fun.
Oh no, yeah. So
I need to go back and have some more enchiladas. If you ain't prepared,
you didn't want to eat.
I did not want to eat.
Yeah, you didn't want to eat.
You don't go.
You don't go
to a Mexican party
and
not eat.
Yeah, you get in trouble
because the women, they will whip you.
Yeah, you're like, you need to eat. You look skinny. You're like, what?
But this had a blast. Like, I think that was the greatest takeaway from MVP Local. It wasn't so much my failures on the mobile app side. It was the success that I had instilling in my own self to go out and serve somebody in need.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, throughout that process, I mean, that's really what I learned. Really serving somebody, really serving your community, whether it's financially or just being there. I mean, sometimes just being there is the best thing you can do as a person to help somebody. Help them with their cause, whether it's a business venture or whether it's a nonprofit venture. But yeah, I mean, that was a very important thing for my family, and like a lot of my friends and family still remember you. They'll be like, oh, hey, where's Kerry? Or hey, where's that white guy? He was literally the only white guy that went into that event. Everybody else is Hispanic. So it's pretty cool, and it's very ballsy, I want to say, But at the same time, you got to be ballsy to make a difference in people, and I feel like that's very cool.
And I think we need that more than anything right now. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah.
You know, in the political climate and everything that's going on right now, it's like when you have the mindset of I want to serve with nothing in return, then the value that you put back into that relationship, you might be planting the seed. You might not ever help them again.
Oh yeah.
But you've planted a seed in them.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And I feel like if you plant that seed, it's just following up. You know, sometimes people might be going through the hardest times in their lives, and they don't show it. You know, and I feel like if you plant that seed and you just follow up, hey man, how are you? It's like send them a text once a month. I mean, that itself will really make a difference. And especially now with the climate change, political climate change that we have right now going on, it's just I feel people need to be more united than ever. It's just that there's a division there that needs to be addressed, but at the same time, community is a community, and that's what we stand for at the end of the day.
Okay, so let's shift into a couple of different areas. So let's talk about the struggles that you've been through.
Oh, snap.
And you can get personal, or you can, this can be straight business, but let's talk about the struggles that you've been facing internally or externally. And we all go through those struggles, right?
Oh, yeah.
You just talked about it. You might be in a difficult time. I was in a difficult time when I was having to shut MVP Local down, when I was running those construction companies and shutting those businesses down, and really just trying to find my place in the world, right?
Oh, yeah.
I had left teaching and coaching. I was really great at teaching and coaching. I would say that that's probably my number one skill set is to teach and coach and train. But when I went out into the business world, I had to make a shift, and I went through a lot, and I went through a lot emotionally. And so talk a little bit about some of the struggles you've had internally, whether it's I've fought depression or anxiety, or I've had relationship issues. Talk a little bit about some of those struggles and how they've shaped you. Maybe taught you how to push through those obstacles and barriers. Talk a little bit about that.
I think the main struggle that I've had, so my family, so I'm the first generation. I was born here. My mom came with the travel visa. She, overstayed and whatnot. My dad actually crossed the river. Me being the firstborn, first generation, everything. It's very difficult understanding of what that person goes through. You literally have to translate everything for your parents very early on. Your expectation of success is up here. College, high school. So that was a very, very, very difficult struggle. Having the balancing of whether you're doing stuff for yourself or you're doing stuff for your family. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. You want to, for example, you have parents that expect you to be a doctor, but you're passionate about art, you're passionate about history, and and that's the type of balance that a lot of people face that are, whether they're minorities or whether, or whoever you are,
Mm-hmm.
What else? Man, that's just a lot. I mean, not a lot. They're not heavy struggles in the outside world, but to you might be very heavy struggles, So it's very
definitely
difficult to explain.
Well, to me, it's like a cultural deal. Right?
Oh yeah.
It's what is your family accustomed to?
Oh yeah, exactly.
And what does the work life look like for them? And where do you focus your time, like you were saying?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's just you feel lost in a certain way. When you, for example, for me, like getting into college or applying to college, I didn't know how to do that. Like I had friends that their parents were helping them out. Oh yeah, like I'll take care of the fast stuff. To me, it's like I needed to figure it out. I didn't know how to fill out the form with my parents' tax forms. I didn't know how to apply. I didn't know about vouchers I didn't know you had to pay to apply to a college. You don't even see that money back. So it was a very strange time. Luckily, got UTA, full ride of UTA, got money, paid back to me, paid for my books, paid for my transportation. It's just, it's a very strange time. What else? A struggle.
Think about
a struggle, like a struggle within my own community as well. It's like, for example, me that I'm a contractor, like where I'm a general contractor now. It's like I grew up doing the actual labor side of stuff. I mean, I started roofing when I was 10 years old. And now that I sold the jobs, and now that I'm the jefe, a lot of my cousins see me as like, oh, you kind of...
For all you non-bilingual people, jefe is boss? That's boss, man. That's boss, man.
Something like that. But it's like, you feel like a certain separation, you know, when you're part of the group, they include you in, you got a couple beers, you talk to the guys. But me being the boss, like, I have to go fill out paperwork, I gotta go get permits, gotta go get more jobs, you know? You gotta put food on the table for these guys. So that's also been a struggle for me now, you know?
Different responsibilities.
Yeah, different responsibilities. It just puts you...
Now you're having to make payroll.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Now you're having to make sure their families are taken care of.
I got a job for Monday and Tuesday, but how do I get another job for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday, you know? And it's like, that's the struggle that I'm facing with now. But back in the day, yeah, I mean, and then also, my biggest struggle is my relationship with my dad. You know, that's been the one that always gets me. But I've just learned to cope with that. I mean, that's just one of those things where his dad didn't show much emotion to him, so he's not going to show much emotion to me. But I know for me...
I think it was just that generation.
Oh, like no,
my pops is the same way, and, like, don't ever go into business with pops because you got to keep them separate, by the way. Yeah.
So, for example, my jobs, like me and my dad, so he does the actual labor side, and I do a lot of paperwork, I talk to the homeowner and everything. But if I need to be, I'll get on the job and do the work. It's just that he had a hard time understanding that he's not the boss anymore. I'm the boss. Like, whatever at the end of the day, the customer is the boss, you know?
Right.
It's just, I'm just shifting the information from them to me to them, and I got to communicate that. Hey, the homeowner wants so-and-so things installed this way. And he had a hard time understanding that. But my mom was there. She was like, oh, you better listen to him. He's the boss now, you know? So that's how that, I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for my mom, a lot of things wouldn't be at, I wouldn't be at if it wasn't for my mom. Or I wouldn't be, having this success if it wasn't for her.
You can see the affection if you ever see Rafael's social media. It's just like, it's always him poking his mom, like sneaking up on her.
Yeah.
But no, just shifting into kind of what you're doing now.
Oh yeah.
So we talked a little bit about, back in high school, kind of where it started, kind of the shift to college, kind of your thought process of wanting to build and do things above and beyond what your family was accustomed to doing as a career, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now you're back into roofing. You're back to where you started. But let's talk about your successes. Let's talk about, from college, graduating college, now moving into, you were telling me you were like the lead sales guy?
I'm getting there. I don't want to say lead, but I'm getting there.
You're getting there?
I'm only 25 years old, and like I'm always looking for the next sale. Like I'm always trying to provide a better quality service for the next customer, you know? It's a lot of competition out there in the DFW area. It's just that I think I separate myself from my competition because I grew up in roofing. I mean, like I actually, installed shingles. I lifted up those bundles. When I was a little kid, my dad would tell me, hey, go knock on the neighbor's door and see if they want a new roof. And there goes a 10-year-old kid knocking on the door. I'd be like, what are you knocking on my door for? And like, it was just cool. I mean, and then I'm slowly trying to transition into commercial. I'm trying to get better and bigger at what I do. And so that's also been a struggle now. It's like, how do I level up to that point where I start taking on projects for, like, for example, like, for apartments? How do I take on projects for, like, new construction, But it's all part of the curve, it's like you gotta go through the struggle and take it in the chin sometimes and then just keep moving forward, but still always keep in mind the customer, because at the end of the day the customer is the boss. So that's been a struggle. But throughout college, I mean, I also did bubble soccer. I actually applied my degree. I called China up, like a factory in China, at 2 a.m. I was like, hey, I need to order these inflatable suits. How can I get them? And I used my money from school and I invested into it, and made more money, paid for my study abroad program, and then MVP local.
So for all you guys out there, like when you sit there and complain, or you put the blame on somebody else, or you think somebody else is going to do it for me, I think the greatest thing that I learned from observing you guys, of doing the T-shirts and doing the bubble soccer and being a part of that and launching MVP local and having that same mindset, right? You have to go out and produce. You have to go out and make things happen. You can't expect to build something and hope that people are going to show up for it, right?
Oh, no,
you have to take that out, and you have to be excited about it. You have to...
you have to be your biggest fan. If you don't love yourself, or if you're not your biggest fan, it shows. People won't want to do business with you. You're very negative in a way. You're not excited for what you do. And don't get me wrong, you might get by a couple months, couple years, but at the end of the day, it's going to get to you. You're not going to like what you do, and it's going to hit you. For example, for me, like, like I have my routine set up where I stretch, I go run, you know, I drink my coffee, I read, and I get excited, I get pumped, you know, whether you play a song, you know, and then you just get in the moment. And I feel like that's where I get excited when I know I can produce more, when I know I can provide a better service, where I know that I'm producing for my guys, for my cousins, for my family, for my dad, you know. And I feel like that's just instilled in me. And I also learned that from you as well. You know, you getting up early, you know, trying to provide for your family, the risks that you took to invest into MVP Local, you know, and like the stories that you talk about your dad and then what your dad would tell me before. So it's a lot of information, and honestly, it's just taking it and going with it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was a life experience, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
It's the journey part we've been talking about. You know, fate would have it that I'm now working for a company that launched back in 2015 when we were starting MVP Local.
Oh, yeah.
And to see some of the stuff that we're doing as a company, how they support nonprofits, how they help small businesses leverage frameworks and systematize their marketing to get their word out, their word of mouth out. And it's all coming full circle for me. You know, but along the journey, I was fighting some of that stuff, right? I was fighting, what should I be doing? You know, at what point did you decide, okay, I need to go back into roofing, and this is the vision I have for my future. This is where I want to take my family. So talk a little bit about, not now, we've talked about the past, we've talked about the present, talk about the future. Talk about where you're going.
The shift for me, so I graduated college 2017. I was walking the stage and I was excited. And then the next day I was like, okay, what the hell am I going to do now? Like, I was like, I went to the job fair. I mean, I didn't get lucky. I wasn't prepared at all. So I had never been in a job fair. You know, I didn't know how to prepare myself. But by that point, I was already graduating. So I was like, well, shit. And I was still working for John Wright Industries. So I was like, you know what? The best thing I could do is just invest in what I know. And I just took it from there. Where I see myself the next couple of years, you know, it goes back to getting more into commercial, getting more into building buildings, you know. I do want to go back to school. I do want to get my master's, maybe my PhD. You know, I just want to keep improving myself. I'm only 25 years old. The sky's the limit, but at the same time, I also feel like, you know, I want to move as fast as possible, but at the same time, be slow in a way. I don't want to overstep myself and boom, you know, I don't give it my all in certain situations.
I just read a quote right before we started the interview, and it was, I'm paraphrasing.
Oh,
it's from Paulo Coelho. He wrote The Alchemist.
Alchemist, yeah.
I probably didn't pronounce his name right, but he had a quote. I just saw it on one of my feeds in Instagram, and he talked about how we put off our time. Like, now's the time. Now's the time to act on the things that you want to do and want to accomplish. And so I like what you just said about, you know, wanting to get things done now, but being calculated in your approach.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like you got to move fast, but at the same time be slow. It's a weird understanding. Like, for example, when you're making a sale to a customer, you want to present the information, or you want to be up to the customer as fast as possible. For example, if you get a call right now, you would wish you could be there like in an hour. So you would want to be, theoretically, you'd want to be there in an hour, or else that customer's going to call somebody else that could be there in an hour. So to me, I mean, I try to set it up the next day, or if they call the office, I tell them, hey, just take the call and just, you know, put it on the schedule. Like, it doesn't matter what time, what date, I'll be there. But you also got to be slow in the process of understanding that homeowner might not be ready now, but it might be ready in 2 or 3 weeks.
And so how do you plant that seed with them? Like, what is your process of building that relationship with somebody that you don't even know?
So I try to make it into a 2-step process. If it's more than a two-step process, I'll give it at that. Like, I don't really care. I'll go 10 I'll go with 10 times. But I always try to make it a 2-step process. I don't like to close on the first day. Usually that's very difficult, but if you're good at selling and you can do it, great. But I try to build rapport at the first set out. I don't ask them, you know, how much are you spending or how much blah, blah, blah. I always ask them about the roof, how long they're going to be thinking of living there. If something they could change about their home, what would it be? I just get to know them. If I see a sign from like a college or university, I ask them about that. Football, soccer, I'm very knowledgeable about that, so I talk to them about that. And then I just get feedback. And then I come back another day and I talk to them more in detail. I give them my presentation. Okay, I can offer you this, this, and this for the budget that you have. Or if it's an insurance claim, hey, I'm going to try to get you more money from the insurance to pay for so and so things, whether it's building code upgrade or they missed on certain like specs like from the manufacturer. So that's where I go, and sometimes the homeowners, you know, they put you off, but I think it's all about the follow up. But the thing that makes me a little bit different is that I'm not afraid to commit to a sale that's not really a sale, like a potential customer. I'll go out there 5 or 6 times if I need to, and I'll try to close it, because that's just the type of person I am. I don't really.
Because that one person could turn you on to.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But it's just like my area is servicing. You know, it's like I'm your waitress or waiter in a way, where I come and service you as much as you need, and that's it. But at the end of the day, if they don't want to go with you, then they don't want to go with you, and they just want somebody else. But I always try to service as much as possible. Obviously, there's certain situations where the homeowner might be an hour away, and it's like you try to close it over the phone. So that's when I use different tools and whatnot. So then I adjust to it. But yeah, that's.
So just pivoting back to the future aspect,
yeah.
Your aspirations of running your own company.
Yeah, my future aspirations, running my own company or whatever God takes me in the roofing way, then I'll take it. Whether it's, taking, helping John Wright grow John Wright Industries, or me taking on Morales Roofing and then growing it from there. Whether it's me working for another bigger company, then I'll also take that. But my future aspiration is just growing as a person. I did buy my first property, on January. I'm gonna rent that property out.
25 years old, by the way.
I mean, it's okay. 25 is okay. Man, I've met kids that are 18 already buying properties, which is crazy to me. But hey, more power to them. But
were they using their mom's credit card?
Oh no, man. They're
hustling.
They're freaking school financial aid or something. I don't know, which is smart. But I'm thinking of buying another property here pretty soon. So I do want to get into real estate. So me, I don't see doing roofing the rest of my life. I don't want to be in roofing the rest. I want to have an exit strategy. So at some point in my life, I want to be like, look, I did roofing. I saved my money. I bought my properties, 20, 30 properties. I could live off of that. I'm fine with that. It's just now is the time for me to hustle. Right now I'm 25 years old. I'm sharp. I'm young. I need to get at it.
I think I said that. Like back in class, I remember talking to you guys about there's going to be a few of you that take action now.
Oh yeah,
I remember saying that to all my classes.
Mr. Rich, I mean, Kerry, you were the only guy that would tell us I don't know shit. You go figure it out. It's like some questions you couldn't answer because you didn't know. Right. But you would tell us go figure it out. We've never had a teacher tell us that. We've never really had a teacher really be real with us in the sense of I don't know the answer, but go figure it out. And it's real. When you had us call the
Secretary of
State to follow business or look up a business name, I never had a teacher tell me to do that. They usually give you the form, or they know how to do it already. So it was just cool. I mean, it was just a different perspective, and that's instilled in me today. I don't know something, I go out and figure it out. There's people out there that think they know everything, but if you think you know everything, you're gonna fail. You're gonna overstep yourself, and you're gonna lay flat on your face. Yeah. Sometimes it's just good being real and letting people know I don't know, but I'm gonna find out, or I'll get back to you.
And so we talked about that. Let's pivot back to that conversation earlier. We were talking about your craftsmanship, making sure that when you show up on a job and I make a mistake, or my crew my contractors make a mistake. Talk a little bit about how you handle that.
So when I make a mistake, I take it in the chin and I let the homeowner know. When one of my guys makes a mistake, I'll bring it to their attention, but I still take the blame. Because at the end of the day, it's your job. As a contractor, as a project manager, or as a general contractor, it's your job to make sure things go the right way. But that's what I learned from you guys, from hanging out with Brandon, hanging out with you, hanging out with John as well. We just take it in the chin. And I've just surrounded myself with people that have shown me that, hey, or with my dad too. My dad too, he makes mistakes, goes, or he doesn't make a mistake, or the guys make a mistake, he goes back and fixes it. Yeah. And that's what roofing taught me. You make a mistake, you go back and fix it. Right. And that's just how it is. I've made a lot of mistakes. They're very embarrassing mistakes, me too. But it's all part of the process, And it's sometimes you high nail, you got to go back, turn off the shingle, put it on the line.
So through my process, I've learned to embrace failure. When I started looking at the different mindsets and studying how people psychologically make certain decisions, right? You've got fixed versus growth mindset, and for me, it was about fixing that mindset on how I address failure.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how do you look at failure? When you hear the word failure, you know, society wants to tell you you are a failure, right? You file bankruptcy, you fell at this business, you fell at that relationship. Society wants to tell you you're a failure, right?
So how did you go about it? Like, how did you make that 180 switch when you were down in the well and you're like, how did you bring yourself up? Or what did you use to bring yourself up?
And so that's when you gotta let your mess become your message, right? That's when you've got to reach out to somebody that's been in that situation to mentor you, to coach you out of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so for me, it was like 2018, I was shutting down and walking away from that construction company. After we started MVP Local, I transitioned after shutting the mobile apps down into working for Brandon with Cornerstone Outdoors. And then from there, went and worked with Brian Syshon and started.
Brian, there we go.
Started a little small
business.
Brian. believe 7 enterprises.
Yeah.
And he's doing well and did an awesome job. But I just felt called to go further.
Oh, yeah.
And be more for myself. And so I transitioned to working with Danny and learned a lot through that process. But you know, I just knew long term it wasn't something that I wanted to do. And so 2018, you know, I'm walking away from probably the closest friend of mine that I've ever had. And it wasn't pretty. It was something that I was having to deal with internally.
Oh, yeah.
Having to walk away from friends that I've had for a lifetime. Ultimately to continue to pursue what I felt God calling me to do, right? And so, in 2018, I was shutting everything down and took the last bit of money that I had. At that time, we were moving into our new home that we're in Roanoke right now, and it was just like I had to figure out why I was making all these mistakes, right? And it was because I had that fixed mindset on failure. It was because when I looked at my failures, I started projecting that failure onto how I treated my own self internally, my personal self.
Yeah.
Right? I stopped investing into my health. I stopped investing into reading books.
Yeah.
I stopped investing into connecting with my family. And I sedated and I would go out into the garage and I would just hang out with myself.
Yeah.
Because I felt like everybody else was distancing themselves.
You were just there.
And I was just there. I was just floating through existence. And so, that was a big struggle for me. You know, it was something I faced internally. That was my internal struggle, was connection with my family.
So what made you get back, or like what made you come up?
Well, I mean, when you're in that pit, when you're deep down in depression, when you're financially unstable, when, you know, especially financial, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, until you're in a position where you're having to provide for five people, you know, 3 kids and a wife, and trying to think about putting them through college, and you just don't have the money to do it. And it puts a lot of pressure on you as a man, as a husband, just as a parent, right? And so I was in that position, and what really brought me out of it is just shifting my perspective, and that's what I learned by going through the Wake Up Warrior Brotherhood, and it was actually a program that I did. It was training protocol that I went through to rebuild my routines, rebuild my systems in my life, to go, okay, what's important to you? Well, if you're not investing back into yourself, how can you invest back into other people? Yeah. So at that point, I had to look at my own self, and I had to go, you're deteriorating yourself. So how do you ever expect to aspire to run businesses? How do you expect to inspire other people that are in the same situation to go through what you've gone through? And so at that point, I had to see myself differently. And so at Wake Up Warrior Brotherhood, that's what they taught us. They taught us to look through a microscope and look through a telescope. Look 90 days out and say, who do I want to become?
Oh, yeah.
And then once I define who I want to become, now you pull out that microscope and you start being very strategic. How am I going to accomplish this?
Yeah.
How am I going to lose 20 pounds? How am I going to connect with my wife? How am I going to start this business that I've always dreamt of, that I felt called to do? How am I going to follow through with that? You know? And that's when I had to start looking at my failures in a different way. I had to shift my perspective, which was a fixed mindset, to a growth mindset. And that is kind of what I talked about on on my post today on Facebook, and that is, you are becoming a legend every single day. You make that choice. Where you invest your time, where you invest your energy, your mental capacity, how you give back into your local community, how you invest back into your relationships. So that was a big part of, what I'm trying to build now. Compared to what I was doing before is launching a mobile app, trying to make a little money, trying to start a business, right? Now it's more about how can I help people?
Trying to leave a legacy,
what can I contribute to the cause? What is my cause? It's just like what you said. I want to give back. Mm-hmm. I want to give back my knowledge. I want to give back my expertise. And I want to give back my love, serve, and care. Like, that's what makes me different than everybody else. Is that I take a genuine interest in people's success. I take a genuine interest in what they're doing. And, it's showing up for people, right? It's showing up when you're the only white guy.
There you go,
and serving a higher purpose, right? A higher calling. I was called to be there, and we've got to go down to Mexico sometime and visit the church.
It's crazy because it's like 6 families, and like if you think about it, these 6 families from this small little ranch, population of less than 200 people. A lot of the people have already immigrated over here. They're already over here. A lot of people stayed over there. A lot of the older generation stayed over there. So it's like they came together, and it's pretty cool people that come together what they can accomplish. But it's nice. It's a nice church. So we thank you for your contribution.
No, it was awesome. We contributed, but not enough. But like I said before, it's just showing up for people, right? It's being there in those moments, and knowing when they're in that dark pit, knowing when they're in that spot. You've always been that to me.
Oh yeah.
And Ronnie was the same way. And I have a lot of close friends that reached out to me and always checked up on me. But that's what stuck with you. Like, it was in those moments when I needed you to help me with MVP Local, you were there. It was like when I was going through the struggles of shutting it down, you didn't run away like everybody else.
Yeah,
you were there.
It's because I'm not the type to run away. Like, I'm the type, if I see you struggle, like, I want to help you. Like, I'm not the type like, oh, it's your problem, you figure it out. It's like, no, all right, well, how can I help you? It's like, let me carry this weight with you, And that's just how I am with anything. Like, in my personal life, my business life, if a guy's carrying up 20 bundles up a ladder, hey, I'll carry 10, you carry the other 10. And that's how I go about it,
Exactly.
I don't try to tell them, oh, that's your job, this is my job. It's like, no, like let's get this job done. Get done early, go home, and that's how it is. And that instilled in me with you too, early on in high school. So it just different points of your life you take it into you, and then morphs into who you are today. And I'm just thankful to be surrounded, or I've been surrounded with people like you, other people that I've learned, other mentors as well, where I've learned certain things like that, positive things. Because that's where I'm at now. So where do you see yourself going from this point forward, like in the next 5 or 10 years?
So like what you said, like fast and slow, right? Mm-hmm. So the fast process is getting out of my head and getting in front of a camera and doing these interviews,
Lazy
right? which is what Rafael and Ronnie have been telling me to do for about a couple of years now. It's just like, take action.
Check out his podcast. He just talks to himself. Like, come on, man, get somebody on the interview. So in the short term, it's just like, go do behind the scenes videography for hip hop artists, because I had an opportunity to serve and learn, right? So I'm still in the learning phase, which makes it exciting. Oh, hell yeah.
Because now I get to take all this business knowledge, I get to take all of this experience, and I get to put it and shape it in a way that there's opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. There's opportunity. And so in the short term, that's just where I see myself. In the long term, I see myself building a company again, launching, we give 110 in our training program. Launching courses and doing consulting. I was a teacher and a coach, and I can't walk away from that.
It's who you are.
I can't walk away from that, and so as I start to think about the next business that I want to start, as I start thinking about what I should be doing, I have to go back to what I know I'm great at.
Yeah.
what I'm great at.
Hence
what
me.
What I'm great at is teaching and coaching, and I can facilitate and do that now because I've learned those skills. I've gotten the bumps on the knees. I've gotten I've gotten knocked down and I've had to get up 8 times. And so I've gone through those experiences, which have made me tougher in those situations. So yeah, I mean, short term is just like do the videography, launch the podcast, help small businesses with their marketing and sales, and just see where that goes.
So let me ask you this: where do you see contractors lacking their marketing right now in this marketplace that we're in right now?
I think the personal connection, like it's capturing people's stories. Like what we're doing right here is exactly what that contractor needs to do with their customer. And they need to let their customer do the selling for them, right?
Oh yeah, tell their story. Yeah,
tell their story. Yeah. So it's a part of learning what I've learned by going through ClickFunnels and working with them for the past year and a half, and learning the frameworks that actually work in the business world, right? So when we launched MVP Local, we lacked frameworks, we lacked systems to generate the type of marketing that was going to generate leads and leads to sales, right?
Yeah, it was very like old-fashioned.
It was very
go out and sell.
Go meet this nonprofit and see if we can help them, right? It was just like we didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to structure the marketing.
Cool. It was fun. It was a good experience.
But yeah, I mean, on the marketing side, any contractor, any small business, it's capturing their customer story. It's retelling that story in a way that's going to build trust and consideration with your customers, right? Your potential customers, your potential clients. And then also leveraging and knowing how to leverage social media, right?
That's the future.
That's the future. That's where everybody's hanging out. I don't care if it's on Facebook. I don't care if it's on Snapchat. I don't care if it's on Instagram, Twitter. Like there's 100 different places that people congregate. So another part of, I think, what contractors lack and businesses lack is micro-focusing their attention on what type of customer do I want. You can't have all of them, and you don't want all of them. And I think that's where a lot of contractors struggle. They'll go pick up any type of job when it should be focused on what type of customer, what is my dream customer? What do they look like? What do they like? And then focusing on that and going after those type of clients. Why? Because you're going to eliminate some of the things that the clients that you don't want to work with, that are greedy or that just want it their way or don't want to pay you, you're not going to deal with as many of those customers because you're going after that dream customer. Yeah. And so that's one thing that I've learned also with ClickFunnels.
Pay your contractor.
Yeah, that was off.
That was off? Oh! Pay your contractor.
Pay your contractor. Yeah, it went off earlier. But no, it's just, it's factoring in and taking those concepts that I'm learning now and applying them and continuing to grow, like you said. I don't know it all. And another thing is not trying to do it all by yourself. Like knowing what you're great at and then building that team around a strategy or a concept or a business that everybody can benefit from, right? That everybody can grow from, that everybody can contribute to. So that's just where I want to go in the future, and that's some of the things that I see happening in the near present, right? It's just like, when I finally made the decision to sit down and interview one person, then the second
and
person,
I reached out to you,
then the third
and then somebody else is going to reach out to you and be like, oh, I want to be interviewed too.
And that's the biggest part, I think, that you have to get out of your head, right? As a contractor, as a business owner, you have to take action on your beliefs. You have to have those belief systems in place, because when you're dealt with those difficult situations, when you have to either take the blame for something that went wrong, and it could cost you thousands of dollars in that case, you don't shove it under the rug. You don't push it off on somebody else. You take ownership, right? You take extreme ownership. And so, it's just some of the things that I've learned by starting businesses and knowing that this time around it's going to be different. That this time around I do have to take extreme ownership. That this time around I do have to focus on having that growth mindset.
Oh yeah, no, every day. What was I going to ask you? If you could go back in time and give yourself 3 pieces of 3 pieces of advice, what would you tell yourself? Like being my age, 25, between 20 to 25.
I think it's going to go back to number 1 on the list, and that's love. Love what you do.
Love? Wow.
Love what you do. Love what you do. And if you don't love what you do, then you're not going to be passionate enough to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and read the books and have the cup of coffee and get excited about it, right? So you have to love what you do. The next part is serving, right? So I wish I would have done a lot more serving when I was a kid. I didn't do enough because I think that servant mentality brings into the bigger picture of what you're trying to do, and that's build relationships with people, right?
Yeah.
When you can go out and provide value up front without expecting anything in return, that's how you're going to gain that relationship, gain that connection, gain that education that you otherwise wouldn't get, right? You were talking about it earlier about how you would ride along, how you said, hey, with a commercial roofing guy, you know, it's just, I want to learn, and I'm willing to do it for free.
Like for here,
because I want to serve at a higher level.
Yeah, I would stay here, so I would work on like sometimes 4 or 5 hours, sometimes whenever I had school, and I would stay after hours with another project manager, and I would study his notes. I would look at what he's doing, how he's giving his proposals, and I'd be like, hey, I think this would be a little bit better. So I would give little recommendations. But yeah, I mean, I was committed to learning. At that time, I wasn't really going to use it in the sense of like going out hustling, providing more jobs. I just wanted to know how to do it. But I think, yeah, I mean, just being there. Sometimes just showing up and being there is the best thing you can do. You know, I mean, that's how you also get opportunities. This one time, I didn't want to go out and give this homeowner this whole what was it, like an hour away. I just didn't want to go. I was just lazy. I was like, you know what, I don't really need to be there. It's an hour away, probably won't miss me, blah blah blah. And it was just a repair. And then I went. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to give my word, you know, blah blah blah. I showed up. This lady was blind. Oh, wow. Blind. And I showed up and I was like, she was like, who is it? Oh, it's Rafael. Can we look at your repair? It's like, oh, all right, Rafael. It's because I would refer to her by a realtor. And then she had told me, it was like, hey, can you go help out this lady? She needs to get her roof, you know, repaired and whatnot. And I was like, hey, I came to see you repair, blah, blah. And she said, oh, no, yeah, get on it. And then you just tell me what you see. And then I was trying to build rapport. I didn't know she was blind. And then I was like, hey, I think you have a flat. So I don't know if you noticed it. She was like, oh, really? I hadn't noticed. I'm blind. And I was like, oh, shit. But like she was just being sarcastic. So then I get on the roof. It was a simple repair. I mean, I did it. And then she started telling me how she wants to sell the house. She wants to move to New Mexico because she can't live by herself anymore. She has somebody that comes and helps her here and there, but that she couldn't help herself anymore. And then she was just telling me the story and whatnot. And like, see, at that point, like I was like, man, you know what? I was very like, so I didn't want to charge her. I was like, you know what, man? Like, I'm not gonna charge you. It was a simple repair. She had like a part of the shingle had ripped apart and blown off, and I had extra with me. I was like, hey, I'm not gonna charge you at all. And they said, oh no, it's fine, you know, please charge me. And I was like, no. So then, so she didn't end up paying me. But a month later, her friend had called me. Huge house, like humongous. It's like 6 bedrooms, 3 baths.
Oh, wow. And
she had recommended me to her. She had heard that, you know, I had helped her out, blah blah blah. And I was like, damn. So it just shows that if you give, or if you show up with a positive mindset and you just, I don't know, you give without trying to expect something in return, it just comes to you, and it's pretty cool. You know, she sold the house, moved there already, and you know, she was very happy that I helped her out. She was on the budget and whatnot, but I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and just to wrap up on your question, like the love, the serve, and then the last part is caring.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So that just
that connects it. Yeah, there you go.
That connects it all. You know, you can love, you can serve, but if you don't care about the people that you're serving, if you don't care about the business that you're running, so yeah, it's just like that's my advice to my younger self. That's my advice to kids in the classroom. If I were to go back into the classroom and teach ever again, that's exactly where I'd start. It would be on that foundation. It would be on that mindset, love, serve, and care, and that's where it all starts. That's where your craftsmanship starts. That's where it's defined.
No, yeah.
Right? You know, when you start thinking about craftsmanship, you get your work as a carpenter, but you approach your work as a craftsman.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody can be a carpenter. Everybody can pick up the hammer and nail. Right. Everybody can be a roofer.
Jesus.
But it's the craftsmanship. It's the craftsmanship that's going to get the word of mouth. It's going to be the love, serve, and care that's going to get the recommendation.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
And I think, like, looping back, it's capturing that. Right. It's capturing that experience, capturing that relationship, so that other people can see your character. Right. When it comes down to it, people want to deal with people in business that they can trust.
Yeah.
And
without a doubt,
I think that's another big factor of what I would teach as well. Like, if you want to build trust and consideration with people, then you have to love, serve, and care. And that's what I'd give advice to anybody that's aspiring to start a business, anybody that's aspiring to start a family. Like, these are not just frameworks and mindsets that you take into business. This is something that you take into your relationships as well. And so for me, going back to my internal struggles, was just the disconnection with my wife, not connecting with my wife when I had the opportunity to, not connecting and spending more time with my kids, dating my wife and kids, right? You get complacent in life, and you get into a set routine, and you forget how important it is to make those connections, to build those relationships. You're planting seeds. Every time that you serve somebody, that you have an opportunity to serve somebody, you're planting that seed in them. So
that's pretty cool. So how did you rebuild that relationship with your wife? Like, how did you go about it? Did you, just start talking to her more, or how did you transition from being down and under to being, hey, like,
I think the biggest thing is just being completely honest. Like, when you're struggling internally, when you're facing your own depression, your own anxiety, and you're having to raise a kid and make connection with your wife and make the world go round, per se, you have to be real with yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to be real with them. And so in that moment, it was just speaking what was on my heart. Like, this is how I feel. This is how you make me feel. And we have all this baggage that we're carrying with us.
I think
that we've got to move past. Yeah. That we've got to move past, because I took the house away from her. We had a house. I was in teaching and coaching career. We didn't have problems financially. Our credit was top notch, close to 800 points. Now it's 600. You know what I mean?
Not bad.
And filing bankruptcies, and that puts a lot of strain on the marriage. And some marriages can crumble from that.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough. I started dating my wife back in high school, and I've made many mistakes. It's unconditional love that gets you through those times. And for me, it was like, that's what she was longing. She was longing me to love her in the same way, right? Unconditionally, for the mistakes that we've both made. But yeah, it was just being real. I was saying, hey, that hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
When you talk about where we're at financially, or, you nitpick me on what I'm doing on the investment side. Like, I've not stopped investing our money into these ideas that I have, and that's a sticking point with her. And so it's just a real struggle, and I think it was a real struggle in the past because I didn't communicate where our financial means were going towards. And so, when I was having to shut MVP Local down, she was so unaware of all the credit card debt that I had put us in.
Oh shit!
$100 something $1,000 in credit card, bills, as well as loans, as well as investment capital for my dad. She was unaware, and that really hit her. She was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And so it's the trust factor. It goes back to the trust.
You're trying to put it on yourself and just.
I thought all the weight had to be going on my shoulders, and probably if I would have communicated it with my wife, it wouldn't be that she would have stopped me from pursuing what I believed in. She could have helped me through it, and we could have talked about it, and we could have talked through it. And so that's just another piece of advice. If you're in a relationship or you're running a business, you have to communicate. You can't shove it under the rug. You have to talk about the difficult things. the hard things. You can't just let them skate past, because that's the easy thing to do, right? It's just like, you get in an argument with your wife, your business partner. You don't wait until the next morning to deal with it. You know what I mean? You don't wait until the next morning to deal with it. You deal with it right then and there. And so, yeah, it's just one of the things that I've learned from. It's one of the things that I've struggled with, but it's one of the things that I'm overcoming on a daily basis. Why? Because I have frameworks now. Like before, I didn't understand and know how important belief systems were and mindsets were in approaching your daily routines.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's where
you got to have a bulletproof mindset.
That's where I created my system now, which is called Revive 5. And it reminds me on a daily basis to focus on my relationships, my routines. It focuses on the reflection that I need to have. And what I mean by reflection is I meditate. I visualize what I want to accomplish that day. And hey, remember we did it back in college. No, it's not it's not that type of meditation for me. For me, it's
connect your inner chakra.
No, I can never, like, I studied that, and I just can never relate to that type of meditation. My meditation is visual affirmations. And so it's just visualizing what I see myself doing that day, and I look at that in a positive way, and I go, who do I want to serve today? Who can I reach out to and build up? Who can I elevate, right?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
And so that's just a big part of my routines now. And then returning and reporting. If you're not tracking what you're doing and reviewing what you're tracking, if you're not tracking what you're doing and reviewing what you're tracking, you're not making progress, right?
It's because right now I'm in a position where I'm just like, wait, next job, let's go. So I think that's where I lack. How do I keep track of that? I have a planner full of notes and stuff, but yeah, I think a lot of guys my age probably have a hard time with that, where they're just trying to hustle, trying to build, and it's like you work so hard, but you also like, you put yourself in a ditch where like you just dug yourself in there and you can't bring yourself out.
And the simplicity of it goes back to the love, serve, and care, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So when you talk about my routines in the morning, I take time to invest back in love notes, right? Acts of kindness. Make sure that when my wife gets home, she ain't doing the dishes and she ain't doing the laundry. That's what I'm taking care of. Now, that's not something that my generation or even my father's generation would even offer to do, right?
Man, let me tell you, oh my God, I bet you a lot of people that are Hispanics can relate to that too.
Right?
Like it's a very, yeah.
It's a pride deal. It goes back to pride, right?
I don't want to put my dad like in a negative shadow.
I don't either.
Because of that.
But my dad, when he gets up, when my dad gets up from the dinner table,
he leaves his plate.
He leaves his plate.
Yeah. My sister started getting onto my dad more about it, but then I started talking to another friend, and he was saying it's more of a, I don't know, what did he say? It was like his way of like his masculine. That's where he felt like, I don't know. It's a safe place.
Yeah.
When you're at your house, you're in your safe area,
Yep. And
that's just the way that people grew up, or the way that they grew up, where the guy is the head of the house and the woman serves the guy. My mom, early on, she said, you better pick up your plate. So now I pick up everybody's plate, I try to do the dishes whenever I get home early. Sometimes I'm here late, 9, 10 p.m., or I go out and work out late at night. But I always try to serve. That's also something I learned from you as well, where I try to serve the people around me, whether it's my mom, my sister, my dad, my family, my coworkers, my friends,
Their whole psychology changes when you do that acts of kindness.
So
that's where the connection, like it all factors into what I was seeking. I had to build systems and frameworks that were going to connect me back with my wife. Well, you don't just, like, it has to happen brick by brick.
Mm-hmm.
You have to rebuild that trust. when you put yourself in debt and file bankruptcy, you have to rebuild that trust when you're not there showing up for your kids and your relationships.
Yeah.
And so that was a big struggle for me, man. It was a big struggle. And it's something that I've learned to overcome because of my routines, because of me instilling something as simple as this. acts of love and acts of kindness. One a day.
For
the people I love, for the people I work with, for the people that are friends, that I have the opportunity to give back to, right? And that was just one way that I saw what I was doing and putting it through that lens and going, I'm not doing a damn thing for my family. You know, I'm not serving them the way I should. And it's not that I didn't want to. It's just that I didn't track what I did. I didn't make it a point to make sure that I was writing that stuff down, that it was a part of my day. And so I struggled, man. I drifted. You know, some people sedate. I sedated. And to the point where I was just not connecting. And I think that's what we're all struggling with, right? Somebody at some point is going to go through a situation, whether it be in business, life, relationships, where they're going to be disconnected with the people that mean the most to them.
Yeah. And
how do you get that connection back? How do you build that trust back? And I think the way you do that is just serving them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and
finding. It's hard because, I mean, work-life balance is very difficult, especially if you're very invested in what you do. If you're a business owner, I mean, you know, the stress that you take, or a contractor, you know, you get up early, you leave home late. I mean, you get up early, you get home late. So it's one of those situations where it goes back to your discipline as well, where you have a schedule, whether, you know, having like a weekends where you don't go out and do jobs, you just focus on your family, take them out to eat, you take your kids to the soccer game or the football game. So I feel like I'm taking note of that early on. So when I do have my family, I can put that into practice.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, that's gonna wrap up our interview. We could probably talk for
go home.
we could probably talk for hours. I appreciated the opportunity, man. I really do. This is gonna be an awesome interview. We'll have to do this again, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, 5 years from now, we'll see where I'm at. Shit.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. It was nice seeing you, brother.
Yes, sir,
Catch
brother.
you later.
Right.
Hit me up, Rafael Morales, John Wright Industries, 469-363-9649.
So give a little plug. You want to do a little bit of plug on John Wright Roofing, and it says right here in the background.
What does it say?
Best roofer in DFW.
I didn't hear it. I'm just kidding. Yeah, man. I mean, John Wright Industries has been in business for 40 years. You know, we do roofing, siding, windows, commercial, solar. I've been doing roofing since I was 10 years old, so I know roofing like the back of my hand. What else? Yeah, it's just been in the family business, and we're here to serve you. So if you have any questions, call me up at 469-363-9649. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.